guys, Xander here, and today I'm taking a look at a bunch of albums in 2019 I didn't get a chance to review in full. Let's go! Okay, I don't really know what to say about Sam Fender. He's got such a wide range of influences that it's really hard to pin him down. From American rock to classic British punk, he's kind of all over the place. Now throw in some bluegrass saxophones and Jaws Ezra style vocals and he has me confused. Not only in his style, but in his popularity. I didn't think a sound like this would make it as mainstream as it has, but it has. And that's not even for a bad reason. A lot of the music he makes is pretty quality, but I can't really get behind it. Bringing a level of authenticity and intensity that we don't normally hear in pop music nowadays. But it's just not vibing with me. I think my main issue is the instrumentation. Way too many of the mixes feel cloudy and washed out with endless seas of reverb. And not in a have a nice life way where it's serving the music, just in a way that makes it feel numb. Like we took a cool melody and now it's just washed into nothing. This might sound like a small issue, but it's prevalent on every single track and it's difficult to get past. Combine that with some of the laziest punk I've heard in ages. Like, yeah, nuclear war is bad. Do you want to give us a real opinion now? Fun, but too mediocre for me to give a good score to. 6 out of 10. This one physically pains me. Jim James is an artist I've liked for quite a bit. His last album, Uniform Distortion, and the acoustic version, Uniform Clarity, were really, really good. And so when I heard that he's got a goddamn orchestra behind him and he's releasing a new album with them, I was intrigued. But, he never really lives up to that expectation. When you say orchestra, I want to think of blaring horns, massive strings, choirs, but here we just get some mild percussion and fluttering winds that really serve nothing. Combine that with some of the laziest songwriting I've heard in any music ever, just listen to Put It to Song, and I've no choice but to call this album out for what it is. Very little substance in a shiny package. Combine this with some of the worst vocal work I've ever heard. Seriously, this guy went to the Lauryn Hill School of Singing, where being authentic and real are put over having actual talent, and you've got a recipe for disaster. Again, I really like Jim James. I'm not trying to hate him here. He just didn't try. What's next? Oh god, we're talking about Weezer. Okay, let's do this. Weezer released 2 albums this year. The Teal album and the Black album. Complementary colours, I know. Teal album's easiest, it's just cover songs with very little creativity. That's all you need to know. Ugh. The Black album, on the other hand, dear god, it's another pebble on Weezer's grave. Some really catchy tunes in there and some kind of cool production. But sadly, catchy does not mean substantive and cool does not mean fleshed out. Weezer are meant to be a rock band. Bring out the guitars, not this friggin' cowbell shit. If there's a silver lining, it's that Van Weezer is going to be amazing. Billie Elish is one of the most pretentious artists I've ever heard, and I love the shit out of it. Yeah, I'm not gonna beat around the bush. This album is amazing and I adore it. In an age when music feels less human, less real, and way too overproduced, Billie Eilish is coming in with some of the freshest sounds I've heard in quite a long time. Her music and production are creative without slipping into the PC music trend of just giving us noise. If you've been sleeping on it, stop, go listen to this thing. 9 out of 10. Yay! Math rock time! I'll be real with you guys, I am far from an expert on math rock. But even despite that, I've enjoyed quite a lot of the music that Chon's put out. Chon, if you were curious, standing for carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen. A friend told me that. Chon have got everything you want. Tasty jazz licks, creative songwriting, epic virtuoso playing. But it's difficult to give a good rating to the package as a whole, as many of the songs kind of blend together with the sampling of acoustic elements, or it could be recorded, I'm not sure, not really bringing much new to the table, and the endless tapping solos getting quite tiresome after a while. There's a lot of material here to enjoy, I just don't think it works as a whole package and was slightly disappointed. Coming out of the 2016-2017 blowing up of SoundCloud, Juice WRLD was one of the more interesting faces. With his unique sample choices, cool voice, and just utter depression that he has in his music, he was one to watch, and I think he lived up with it with his breakout album. goodbye, good riddance. Track to track, front to back, this album is loaded with bangers. Every single song on it is good, and with the skit and short lengths of the song, it actually has a momentum and pacing that not many albums have today. You really felt like you were going on an emotional journey, and it wasn't just a collection of tracks that have a vague link together with a rapper just kind of doing his low effort stuff over the top of it. Which was kind of what we got here. I can't be too harsh, there are some pretty good hooks on this album. She told me to put my heart in a bag! I know it's cliche to say, but I feel like his fame has affected his music. Like, he has fans, he knows he can get away with some low effort stuff, and that's kind of what he's doing. Combine this with his last album, which was a collaboration with Future that fell utterly flat on its face, and I'm really worried for this guy's future. Still certainly rooting for him, but I'm not expecting another album like his debut anytime soon. On the theme of SoundCloud rappers, Trippie Redd was another one of the faces coming out of that, and probably one of my favourites. I've been Team Trippie since the start. Life's a Trip is a really good rap album. With the sadness and vulnerability that he brought to the table on tracks like Together, I was really rooting for this guy. But no, this album is another one that isn't that great. I feel like he's just running out of things to say. His hooks and lyrics on this album are way below par compared to what he's clearly shown he's able to do. And I don't like using the word cringy as a critique, as I think it's shallow and way too subjective. But it's one of the only words that feels appropriate here. A lot of his bars are cringy. There was very little engaging me and wanting me to keep on listening to this album. So in the end, it's just ending up with a 4- out of 10. I plan to make a full scripted video about this album, so I won't say much, but for the time being, just know that I think that this is one of the most interesting and ambitious concept albums I've heard in a while. If you haven't heard of it yet, the plot of this album is that it's just covering the 36 minutes in Hawaii in 2018, when there was the false nuclear report, and how people reacted. Throughout this album, we learn that some people were scared, some people tried to go out with a bang, some people didn't even realize, and it just explores the many reactions humans can have when they think they're about to die. Front to back, it's one of the coolest packages I think I've seen, but it's not perfect, and I want to explore that in a video in and of itself. You know, I could review this album, but instead I'm just going to stick this image on screen. People who get the joke, put it in the comments below. Ooh, another one that's gonna hurt. Bring Me the Horizon made Sempiternal. You don't need me to tell you that that album is an absolute classic. And by the fact that I'm telling you how much I love their old material, you can probably guess what I'm about to say. This album didn't enthrall me that much. It wasn't bad by any means, I'm giving it a 6 out of 10, but it just didn't live up to their previous material. And no, I'm not just salty that they're not a metal band anymore, but that doesn't mean I'm going to excuse their blatant mocking of their old fandom. Some of the pieces of the puzzles are here, the weird production, Ollie's great vocals, but when you ditch half the things that make you good, you can't be surprised if your band isn't left intact. There are some cool riffs and ideas all across this album, but most of them just feel half-formed. I liked a lot of the songs. Nihil's Blues was the one that stood out, but some of the lyrics on tracks like, say, Mantra just had me really unenthused. They just didn't bring enough ideas to the table, and the album really suffered because of that. They didn't bring the power and emotion of their previous material, and without enough new ideas, it doesn't really work as well as it should do.